All right, so we're back here on WrestleRant. I'm Graham Giuseppe Matthews, and for the entire month of September, I'm breaking down every installment in WWE Unforgiven history as seen on the WWE Network, with today being my review of Unforgiven 2002. Now, I've made no bones about it that I love the year of 2002 in wrestling. 2002, 2005, 2008, and 2011. A lot of great years. 2002 just being the start of the Ruthless Aggression era, the rise of the debuts of John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Edge breaking out as a singles performer, and so many other great things that we would see on this show. So I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was probably the best Unforgiven I've seen to date, and I said that in my 01 review. But these shows just keep on getting better and better. Again, maybe partly due to my bias to the year of 2002 just being one of my favorite years, not being a fan for it. And I wasn't a fan during that period of time, of course. I wouldn't start watching until 2008. But from what I've seen from that year, what happened during that year, I just love the year of 2002 in wrestling, specifically in WWE. But kicking off the show, though, an 8-man tag team match to open the event. Kane, Goldust, Booker T, and Bubba Ray Dudley taking on the Un-Americans, Christian, Lance Storm, William Regal, and Test. Now, that is a random blob of people if you just have no context behind it. Booker T and Goldust were on and off again, tag team partners. Bubba Ray Dudley was just a singles performer at this period in time. He would reunite with Devon a couple months later at Survivor Series, that amazing Survivor Series that I love watching. And then Kane was just randomly thrown in there, I guess. The Un-Americans I knew were Lance Storm, Christian, and Regal. They needed the fourth guy, so they threw in... it was Storm, Christian, and Test. They needed the fourth guy, so they threw in Regal. But it was a fun match, though. I mean, nothing... From a storyline standpoint, it wasn't anything too memorable or too great. But to open up a show, I love when shows open with tag team action because it's always it's a guaranteed fun way of opening an event. This one being no exception. The random pairing of Kane, Goldust, Booker T, and Bubba Ray Dudley ended up working out. I mean, none of them were really patriots. It's not like Kane and Goldust and Booker T, and especially Bubba Ray, were waving the flag before this or were known for being pro-USA. They're all from the United States, but none of them were known for being patriots. They would wave their flags anyway, but it was a fun match. I mean, should the Un-Americans have taken the loss here? Did it really matter? I think Regal ended up getting pinned. It didn't even really matter. It was just a loss. They were never the greatest stable to begin with. But yeah, still a very fun match. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the, especially down the stretch, too. Everyone was able to get their finishers in, all their signature maneuvers and stuff like that. So, of course, your typical 8-man tag team chaos down the stretch with everyone getting involved at one point or another. So, a very fun way of kicking off the show, in my opinion. So, after that, for the Intercontinental Championship, Jericho defending the gold against Ric Flair. In a good match, but that could have been a lot better. You think of a match that involves Chris Jericho and Ric Flair, and on paper, you would think that this match could be something special. Now, I enjoyed their SummerSlam match. I would argue that match was better than this one, but it just felt like this one wasn't as good as it could have been, and it was a little lackluster as a result. They only got a few minutes. It was only about a 5-6 minute match, so like basically a women's match in terms of the time period. Jericho, they didn't really do anything. I mean, Jericho sold the knee injury for the final 2 minutes of the match. And out of nowhere, he locks in the walls of Jericho and wins. And then he forces Flair to tap out. So it's kind of a finish fell on deaf ears. A lot of people it just kind of fell flat for me. It was a good match, not bad at all, but it was kind of disappointing and underwhelming in that respect. And this would be the end of the feud too. This was not the beginning of the feud. This was kind of the ending of considering what happened with Ric Flair later on in the night. But yeah, just kind of an underwhelming match. Decent for what it was, but considering he was involved, could have been a lot better. After that, we had Eddie Guerrero taking on Edge. And 02 had some of the best feuds of all time. I'm telling you, Jericho and, Shawn Michaels and Triple H and everything else that happened that summer. But one of the best things to come out of that year of 2002, as I mentioned, was the rise of Edge. He was not world champion at that period in time, not even close, but he was finally coming into his own as a singles performer. And Eddie Guerrero really put him on the map. Edge talks all about it in his most recent documentary that's available on the network, I'm pretty sure. But these two had a strong series of matches. They had a really good match at SummerSlam. This one was even better. An amazing psychology between the two. Eddie Guerrero was such a great heel. I mean, he was so beloved as a babyface. But he would take every single out possible to cheat to win. Lie, cheat, and steal was his motto. I mean, of course, it was a very popular catchphrase as a babyface, but that's exactly what he did as a heel. Just look at the finish. Eddie Guerrero Edge was about to, I think he had him in like a powerbomb position on the turnbuckle, kind of hard to describe. But I think Eddie rakes the eyes. He has Edge go face first into the exposed turnbuckle, and then he also rolls him up and pulls the tights for just good measure. So it was a great finish. Put a lot of great heat, and Eddie Guerrero puts, Edge loses nothing in defeat because this was only the middle of the feud, and they would have their rubber match. I think on SmackDown, I don't think they would wait until No Mercy to do it because they would end up, getting involved in the whole SmackDown 6 and the tag team tournament. So I'm pretty sure they didn't wait until No Mercy, and they did the no disqualification blow-off match, the rubber match on SmackDown. But these guys work so freaking well together, and like I said, really put Edge on the map as a singles guy. Eddie Guerrero should have won here. Edge lost nothing, as I mentioned, and it was another amazing installment in this great series of matches between these two. So after that, we had the 3-minute warning, Rosie and Jamal taking on Billy and Chuck. So an interpromotional match with a 3-minute warning representing Raw and Billy and Chuck representing SmackDown, where the stipulation was that if SmackDown lost, if Billy and Chuck lost, then 3-minute warning, or if 3-minute warning won, then Raw General Manager Eric Bischoff would have Stephanie McMahon, who was the SmackDown General Manager at that period in time, would force her to compete in HLA, Hot Lesbian Action, as Eric Bischoff called it. And if Team SmackDown had won, then Eric Bischoff would have had to kiss the ass of Stephanie McMahon. So if you really think about it, he was in a no-lose situation. He was either kissing Stephanie's ass, or he was having her compete. He was having her partake in HLA. So it really was a no-lose situation for both him and the fans. The match was nothing special. I think it went longer than it probably should have, at 2 or 3 minutes longer. But an impressive debut. These guys were so impressive in the ring, Rosie and Jamal. Just kind of sucks to think that, Jamal, he went on to beat Umaga and accomplish great things in that character. And Rosie went on to do nothing he would win the World Tag Team titles with the Hurricane and form the superhero duo. But these guys could have been a lot more than what they were. They were just ass-kicking machines, and they thankfully went over in this match, rightfully so, Billy and Chuck. They were an entertaining duo. I got a kick out of them every single time I saw them on every pay-per-view that I've watched from 2002, because they were such a dumb gimmick, the whole gay marriage thing, and even after that, they were still a fun duo. But anyway, 3-minute warning, cleaning house, and with Rico in their corner, ended up emerging victorious and picking up the win. So I might as well talk about this now, because it happened later on in the show, but I might as well just talk about it now. The whole segment with Stephanie and Eric, the whole thing was entertaining. It's so stupid. It set the women's movement back like 50 years, the hot lesbian action shit. Again, as I've said time and time again in these reviews from the Attitude Era, the early 2000s, when the woman didn't really have many matches. They just competed in these like bras and panties matches, and they just made out backstage and stuff. Entertaining for the male viewers, but did it do any service for the women's division? Absolutely not. It was disgusting. It set the women's movement back, like I said, about 50 years. And while this was also very stupid, also considering the logic of it, which I'll get into in a second, it was dumb fun. I enjoyed it. It's not for everybody, but I enjoyed it for what it was. So anyway, the segment comes down to Eric Bischoff inviting all these lesbians down to the ring, and even Lillian Garcia, I'm pretty sure it said, "Please welcome Eric Bischoff and the lesbians," and it was hilarious. So he comes down to the ring with them. Out comes Stephanie, and they start to caress her and do all this other stuff, and before they can go any further, Eric Bischoff says, "You ladies are excused," and he brings out Hildegard instead, this grotesque woman, this grotesque large woman, who was Rikishi in drag. So they would make out for a second. Eric Bischoff's like, "What the hell is going on?" And they rip off the disguise, and it's Rikishi, which I didn't know. I had never seen this pay-per-view before. I knew nothing about this angle, so I had no idea it was Rikishi. Kind of going off of the whole Eric Bischoff dressing up as a priest on SmackDown a couple weeks earlier than that, one of the greatest angles in SmackDown history. So that happened, and Rikishi would attack Eric Bischoff and perform this stink face on him in the corner. So again, dumb fun. It made no sense that Stephanie McMahon knew that her team was going to lose, and therefore went out and acquired the services of Rikishi, dressed him up in drag, and it just made, like, how did she know that Stephanie was going, or that Eric Bischoff was going to choose Hildegard of all the lesbians that he had? It made no sense. But still, it was a dumb, fun segment for what it was. It was stupid, but fun for what it was. So after that, for the World Heavyweight Championship, Triple H defending against Rob Van Dam, only mere weeks removed when Triple H had been awarded the World Heavyweight title in the WWE incarnation of it. Still the big gold belt, but the WWE version that did not carry the lineage from WCW and beyond. A good match from the two. Rob Van Dam was just red hot this period in time, and I thought Triple H, they had just put the belt on him, but that's no excuse. Rob Van Dam was red hot. And I had heard at some point that RVD was actually scheduled to win this match at one point because he was so popular. But for whatever reason, maybe Triple H's politics obviously had something to do with it. But Triple H, in the end, would end up going over, still the World Heavyweight Champion. The match was kind of boring at points. That would become a theme at Unforgiven, kind of the theme with the Kurt Angle match. This match, the Randy Orton match, oh my God. I'll get into that when I review Unforgiven 04, but I watched that last night and it almost put me to sleep. It's like the cure for fucking insomnia. Those guys have no chemistry with one another. I'll get to that when I get to that, but this match, boring for the most part, but what I loved about it was that Rob Van Dam, given how over he was, people give him shit for his mic skills. He's no great mic worker, I'll give you that much, but he had charisma. People loved RVD. He would mock Triple H and doing the whole, he would take a bottle of water with Triple H just standing there in the corner. He would take a bottle of water and mock Triple H and do the whole spit thing. It was great, and he would take shots at him and stuff. It was hilarious. So that was one very entertaining highlight from this match. Otherwise, it was pretty standard. A good match, but kind of boring. And then we would get to the finish. RVD came close to winning the World Heavyweight Championship, but with the referee down and out. Out comes Ric Flair. So with the background behind this, what happened here, earlier in the night, Rob Van Dam was seen talking to Ric Flair backstage. Triple H said, "Why do you associate yourself with this loser? He used to be the man, but now he's nothing. And when you lose to me tonight, you're going to be exactly like him, blah, 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 blah." And Ric Flair kind of looked down by that. So later on in the night, during this match, Ric Flair comes out seemingly to help Rob Van Dam, only to turn on him and join Triple H and help him win and retain the World Heavyweight Championship. So the seeds were planted for the future formation of Evolution. They wouldn't really come to be until early 2003, but the pairing of Triple H and Ric Flair first started on this night when Ric Flair turned on RVD, the swerve of the century, and helped Triple H win. So I probably would have put the belt on RVD here, but it did give us Evolution, so there was that. After that, for the Women's Championship, Trish Stratus beating Molly Holly for the Women's title. Not a bad match. I just had zero reason to care for it. They didn't really give us much background, so it was basically just a match. Fine for what it was. I just didn't really care, to be honest with you. After that, Benoit and Angle having a match, straight-up singles match, an excellent match. They could have given these guys the same amount of time they did the World Heavyweight title match, which went about 18 minutes. This one went about 13, 14 minutes. Could have even gone longer than that. It was a great match between these two. They did, I'm not even talking about this match. Will not do this match any service. Benoit and Angle, you put these guys in a ring, you know you're going to get a great match. That's exactly what this was. The momentum constantly shifting back and forth. Both guys going to their finishers every other second. And the chemistry they have was just off the charts. It was just amazing chemistry between the two. So obviously a very, very good match between the two. Benoit, in the end, would cheat to win, had his feet on the ropes, picking up the win. But that would not be the end of it. Because like I said earlier, this would lead to the SmackDown 6 formation, going into No Mercy with Benoit and Angle putting their differences aside and teaming up to capture the WWF Tag Team titles, WWE Tag Team Championships, rather. It was WWE by this point, to become the new and first ever WWE Tag Team Champions on the SmackDown brand. So there was that. And, of course, like I said before, with Eddie and Edge and Rey Mysterio joining in and Chavo Guerrero, it was pure pandemonium. But that's exactly what the SmackDown 6 was, and that's why it was so great. So another amazing match from Benoit and Angle that they would soon top themselves at the subsequent pay-per-view with the whole triple threat, with the tag team title match and the finals of the tag team tournament with Benoit and Angle and Edge and Eddie. So after that, we get to the main event. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker, long before their SummerSlam 2014 encounter, facing off for the WWE Championship on this show. And a very good match. I mean, Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, this is the kind of match that people were hoping we would get at WrestleMania 30, because they had so many great matches in 02 and 03. Of course, they've had better matches. The Hell in a Cell match was just above and beyond, easily the best match these two ever had, and that was insane. But this was also pretty good too, and I guess Undertaker did not want to lose, and they were originally going to have Matt Hardy, who did make his presence felt in this match. He was going to cost Undertaker the win, and Brock Lesnar would win, but they didn't want to beat Brock Lesnar. He was still undefeated, and then Taker didn't want to take the loss, apparently. So it just ended in a double DQ with both guys just beating the living shit out of each other, and the referee just being knocked down. So it ended in a no contest, which kind of pissed off the fans. And that's really no way to end a pay-per-view with that kind of finish. But thankfully, unlike the SummerSlam 2014 finish where it had that controversial finish and that was it, They continued to brawl afterwards anyway, and really reminded me of that amazing brawl they had only a couple months ago on Raw, right after the Battleground pay-per-view. This was very reminiscent of that. These guys just going absolutely fucking at it, destroying everyone in sight, whether it be security or referees or whoever. And in the end, I think it was Undertaker who threw Brock Lesnar through the Unforgiven stage set, and their feud was far from over, setting the stage for their amazing Hell in a Cell match in No Mercy, which I hope to review next month when I review all the No Mercy pay-per-views for the entire month of October. But very good way to close the show. I wasn't really a fan of the double DQ finish, but I thought the match itself was very, very good, and the brawl to close the show was a very good way of closing, of at least sending the crowd home happy, so there was that aspect of it. But again, like I said with the 01 review, these shows keep on getting better and better. Maybe it's just because of my bias towards the year of 02. Maybe it wasn't as good as I'm making it out to be, but I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Maybe it wasn't the greatest event of all time. Maybe you didn't enjoy it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, so I thought it was entertaining in that respect. And you had some really good matches on the show. Lesnar and Undertaker, fuck finish aside, was a very good match. Benoit and Angle, easily the best thing on this entire show. Fantastic match. Triple H and RVD, it was good, kind of boring, but also set the stage for Evolution. The Rikishi and Stephanie and Eric stuff, very stupid, but dumb fun at the same time, like I said earlier. Jericho and Flair, kind of underwhelming, but Edge and Eddie was fantastic and a very fun 8-man to kick off the show, and the women's match was just kind of there. So overall, though, I would give the show 2 thumbs up. Very much recommend watching it on the WWE Network, and we'll see if this theme continues of the Unforgiven pay-per-views getting better and better by the year with the 03 installment, which I'll be reviewing here tomorrow on the YouTube channel. But in the meantime and in between time, folks, you guys can find me on Twitter at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook. Give the page an old thumbs up at facebook.com/Graham.Matthews. Check out the website at nextwrestling.net. And last but not least, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I'm Graham Matthews, and I'll catch you down the road.